One other thing just about the QR code, if it says anything about attaching a resume, don't worry about attaching a resume for the time being. Nobody really has their resume on their phone, so we don't really have to worry about that. It's just the basic information that we're looking for.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Zach. And thanks everybody for joining us here. My name is Kristen McKnight. I work here at Western Governors as an employer relations partner in our career and professional development team. And we're so excited today to be joined by some of my colleagues from WGU Ohio, as well as our wonderful partners at with Cleveland Clinic, who are going to be talking about resume and LinkedIn tips for nurses and how to make sure that everything that you're putting out there and branding yourself with is going to be helpful to you as you are trying to get hired. I am recording this workshop, so you will receive a copy of that recording via email tomorrow. But I'll go ahead and let Zach take it away from here and get things kicked off today.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Kristen, for getting us started here today. And thank you all for joining. Again, just wanted to, I mentioned it a couple of minutes ago. If you have not already, please take a minute to scan that QR code with your phone. That creates you as a prospect in our system. It also gives you the ability to self-schedule on a recruiter's calendar to basically kick off the interview process. All right, so we'll give you guys just a minute and kind of keep that up on the screen as we do introductions. So today, specifically what we'll be talking about is a little bit about what us as recruiters and hiring managers are looking for at Cleveland Clinic regarding your resume, and also some tips on how to utilize LinkedIn if you do have an account as well. All right. We'll start just again first with introductions. Then I'm going to give a brief overview of our RN residency, our RN loan repayment program, just to kind of give you an idea of what your first year with us at Cleveland Clinic would look like as an RN. Then we'll dive into the resume and the LinkedIn portion of our workshop. Okay. Just wanted to first introduce my colleague and my webinar partner in crime, Bree Fedor. She's a nurse manager here with Cleveland Clinic. So Bree, if you want to take a minute to introduce yourself and maybe a little bit about your background at Cleveland Clinic.
So hi, my name is Bree Fedor. I am currently a nurse manager at our Hillcrest location for the Cleveland Clinic on a medical oncology unit. I have spent my whole career with the Cleveland Clinic. It's been almost 8 years now. I started off at the main campus in thoracic surgery as a new grad nurse. I then transitioned a few years later to the assistant nurse manager of that unit, as well as a cardiac surgery unit. And then the past year and a half have been in this nurse manager role at Hillcrest in medical oncology. So I've really got to do a diversity of different units, roles, and have really gotten to experience all the great benefits that the Cleveland Clinic has to offer.
All righty. So for you guys that are tuned in today, this is a great opportunity. At the end, we're going to do some Q&A. Great opportunity to ask about what's life like as a nurse and a nurse manager at Cleveland Clinic. Bree's an awesome resource, and she'd love to, answer any questions and also give you any advice. So let's get started here. So Bree had introduced herself, but I also wanted to introduce myself. I'm Zach Nichols. I'm the University Relationship Manager here at Cleveland Clinic. The University Relationship Manager role is essentially to connect you guys as nursing students with jobs at Cleveland Clinic. All right. So by scanning that QR code, you'll be entered into our system. I'll also put my email in at the end before we depart with you guys. If you're interested in a specific opportunity, whether that's oncology, med surg, labor and delivery, and if you're interested in a specific location, my job is to set you up with a recruiter and basically find the job that's right for you. All right. So wanted to offer that up as one of the services I can provide you. Just a little quick background on me. I did work as an RN recruiter here at Cleveland Clinic. In fact, Bree was my nurse manager, also my favorite nurse manager, and worked here at Cleveland Clinic for about 2 years as an RN recruiter before university role. Before that, I did work in higher education for about 8 years, so pretty much used to interacting with students and serving your needs. Again, wanted to start just by talking about our RN residency and also some of the new incentives that we're offering here at Cleveland Clinic. And before I kind of go through that, I do just want to preface this with, I think at Cleveland Clinic, we're very renowned for the bedside support that we provide you as an RN new graduate, and specifically during the pandemic, that we kind of looked ourselves in the mirror, right? And we said to ourselves, we do this great bedside support, but how else can we help you guys as RN new graduates achieve your career goals and also provide you the support along the way? All right. So again, we'll start by talking about our residency, but we do also want to talk about incentives, which includes an RN loan repayment program, tuition reimbursement, potential relocation assistance. All right. So not only do we want to support you at the bedside, we want to support you at home as well. And then lastly, we're going to talk about the different career trajectories we have for you as an RN at Cleveland Clinic, and some different tracks that we can set you up for success as well. In terms of our RN residency, all right, so this is for new graduate RNs, and essentially your first year with us as an RN is going to be in our RN residency. All right. So it's not like it's a separate application, or some people say some don't. If you're a new graduate RN, everyone starts 1 year commitment. And again, the residency is designed to set you up for success. Right. So how do we do that? First things first is our orientation. And actually, backtrack 1 second. Before you even get set up for orientation, we set you up with this is a nurse.
Zach, your sound is going in and out, I think,
Yeah.
for a couple people, so I'm not sure. I think if you click the arrow next to the mute button, there's might be something that says like optimize for voice or something like that that might help. So I'm not 100% sure.
Okay. Can you all hear me fine now?
That's
Better now.
Is
Yes.
it better now? Okay. I might just have to get kind of close to my laptop here. If it starts to cut out, or if it doesn't sound as, if it doesn't sound as great, please just let me know. Do I sound okay now?
Yes.
That's much better. Okay. I just saw the comment. All right, guys. So continuing with the RN residency, we do have a success navigator. That's a nursing skills competency evaluation. That's going to create a customized orientation specifically for you. All right. Once you start orientation with us, it's a 10 to 12 week process. The first 1 to 2 weeks are general RN new grad orientation. And then after that, we do about 8 to 10 weeks of unit specific orientation. All right. So everybody's together for that first 1 to 2 weeks. Then you head to the unit for about 8 to 10 weeks of unit specific orientation. Bree, is there anything you would include like in that first 90 days that you want to say?
I think the biggest thing that we focus on at the Cleveland Clinic is really focusing that first 90 days on the individual and really working. No one's path is the same. It really is just dependent on what individuals need. So throughout that 10 to 12 weeks, sometimes we go beyond the 12 weeks if that's what's needed to support the caregiver. And we have one-on-one meetings with the management team, the education team, and really focus in on that.
Perfect. Continuing after those first 90 days, again, the residency is a 1-year commitment. The first part of that residency is geared towards the patient population and the unique challenges you'll be facing. All right. So again, if it's an oncology unit, cancer patients and the unique challenges that they would be facing. Part 2 is setting you up for success on your professional journey. So We have a couple tracks that we'll talk about a little bit later, but we have leadership and specialization tracks to make sure you're getting where you need to go in your career. All right. Last thing that I wanted to touch on here is the support that we get you through not only your nurse managers, but also with RN mentors and success coaches. All right. I'll let Bree, can you talk a little bit about, as a nurse manager, the support that you provide the new grads and sort of how they check in with you?
So with the new grads, we usually check in 3 to 4 times throughout the first 10 to 12 weeks with orientation. We're readily available, rounding on the units to support the teams as well as we'll do a 90-day check-in and then a 6-month check-in and a yearly check-in, as well as periodically we'll just kind of check in with your preceptors or your mentors and seeing how things are going, check in with the caregiver as well, and really just kind of frequently touching base and, you know, always being available if the caregiver needs to set up additional time frames, and really making sure that they have our information to contact us if needed.
Great. And if for whatever reason, you know, you can't get a hold of a nurse manager or an assistant nurse manager, we also have success coaches that are available 24/7 to support you. All right. So again, the residency, can't recommend this enough. No matter where you're applying to in terms of hospitals, make sure it's an RN residency. All right. Our RN residencies are full time, so that's 36 hours a week, 3 12-hour shifts. Most of the time, you'll work with the recruiter to kind of go through whether that's day, night, rotating, night shift, straight days. Can happen for a new grad, just a little bit more rare, as you can imagine. All right. But these are all full time opportunities. Anything else you'd add on there, Bree, with residency that I didn't go through?
Nope, I think that kind of encompasses it.
Okay, awesome. In terms of exploring and growing at Cleveland Clinic, so again, we want to support you not only in that first year, but hopefully through, you know, your entire career. And you want to look at the residency. That's basically chapter 1. But we're hoping to, again, set you up for support throughout your, you know, hopefully nursing will be something that you're going through for an entire career. So how do we do that? First things first, Cleveland Clinic has been a top 5 hospital since 1999. All right, so we've got some longevity with us. We have 10 specialties that are all ranked in the top 10 according to US News and World Report. And we also have over 25 hospital locations worldwide. We have, I want to say, over 15 hospitals in Ohio. We have 5 in Florida. We have Nevada, Toronto, London, and Abu Dhabi. All right. London is pretty much brand new. I think that went up in March of this year. But we're a world-renowned hospital. But I think that the support we can provide you throughout our the career goes beyond those rankings. So we have, to set you up for success, leadership and specialization tracks. All right. And you can do both of these at the same time. If your goal is to be a nurse manager like Bree, or a CNO, a director of nursing education, we have a leadership track for you. All right. If you're more so into a specialty, so let's say, you know, emergency department, ED, that's what you really want to go into. We have over 100 specialties to set you up to be an expert in that area. Anything you add on the tracks, Bree?
I definitely think it's a good focus and it really helps with that continued education piece and just being very upfront when interviewing or going through the process of what your end goals are if you already know them, because then the management team can work with you through the start, make sure you're on all those different tracks to help you be most successful.
Perfect. We do have some opportunities while you're in school. This would probably be, if you're a local Ohio student, we do offer patient care nursing assistant opportunities. So these are PRN, part-time are available, but these would be a minimum of 64 hours over an academic calendar year. In terms of our incentives, we did supply some new incentives here. Again, we kind of looked at ourselves in the mirror and said, how can we support nurses, whether that's bedside or supported home. So we do offer now an RN loan repayment program, and we are paying back up to $15,000 in student loans. All right. So that's a payment of $437.50 a month directly to your loan provider. And this is also available after your first 90 days with us. All right. If you want that full $15,000, it is paid out over 3 years. But again, loan repayment, I think we thought to ourselves, how can we offer the best financial security? I'm sure you guys, if you're going through the interview process or have colleagues who recently graduated, you hear a lot about the sign-on bonuses. Those are great, but also those are heavily taxed. So they're taxed at about 40%. With us, with loan repayment, we're paying into an accrued debt, something that is interest rates, something that's going to, keep getting bigger in terms of a debt for you. So that's why we went with loan repayment, to make sure we're providing you the most financial security. In terms of moving forward, we are doing for undergraduate tuition up to $5,000 a year in tuition reimbursement. So if you're going from your associates to your BSN, we do require you to upgrade that within 3 years, and we will pay you up to $5,000 annually to move into that BSN, and that's available on day one. All right. Now, let's say later on down the road, you want to get your MSN, DNP, PhD, something like that. We then bump that up to $7,500 a year in graduate tuition reimbursement. All right. So again, we're paying on the front end, which you already withdrew, and paying on the back end for you to move forward. All right. We are also offering relocation incentives up to $5,000 a year. All right. So we are offering to relocate you as well in order to get you to one of our hospital locations. At this point, I did just want to take a pause before we transition sort of into our LinkedIn and resume review. And I just wanted to see if anyone had questions regarding our RN residency or, RN opportunities or Cleveland Clinic in general.
Not a question, Zach, but I'm going to jump in here just for a second. I put a link in the chat. Because Cleveland Clinic's a partner of WGU, we also offer, WGU offers scholarships for Cleveland Clinic employees as well. So if you wanted to come back and get like an MBA in healthcare management or your MSN or anything like that, you would be eligible to receive those scholarships from WGU in addition to the great tuition reimbursement and everything that's offered by Cleveland Clinic. So just something else I wanted to kind of toss out there.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. And thanks for the reminder on that. Yeah, Cleveland Clinic and WGU, we're partners. So not only do you get the tuition reimbursement, you obviously get the scholarship, as Kristen just mentioned as well. But again, we want to provide you the most financial support as possible. So please take a look at that link as well, so you can research that scholarship information. So at this point, again, want to kind of shift into LinkedIn review and resume review, and sort of what we're going to be looking for in terms of an RN resume. I do have a mock resume that I'll pull up a little bit later on to kind of walk you through the different areas that Cleveland Clinic is going to be looking at in terms of recruiters and hiring managers. But I did just want to first start with LinkedIn. And I guess this could probably be LinkedIn and Indeed. I would probably combine those two as two of the most sort of popular job search, engines / they're almost like social medias these days. And I would just kind of preface this entire conversation with, Cleveland Clinic, we use these, job search engines to find you guys as RNs. So we'd highly recommend that you're using those. And also wanted to provide you some tips on, I guess, interacting with us throughout that process. All right. I wanted to first start just with the nurse manager's opinion on this. Bree, could you kind of share with the group here, sort of what, how you use LinkedIn as a nurse manager.
So as a nurse manager, there's a few different utilizations that I use it for. One thing I do is I post different things that my unit has done as a way to kind of showcase what the unit's about, and other things that they do besides just the day in, day out work, such as recently we had won a communication award for the hospital with 100% communication. So demonstrating kind of those big milestones, or the heart walk we participated in, just to kind of show people what the unit's about. Another thing that I really like LinkedIn is if I have two different candidates, if they have a LinkedIn account and I'm kind of between two candidates for a position, I'll go to their LinkedIn, and kind of really helps give me more information and give me that professional overview of that candidate, and really kind of help me decide between the two candidates, maybe set them apart from each other, because that's where you can showcase a little more in-depth information into accomplishments or things that have been done, to really expound upon that, as well as it's a really great way to connect with a nurse manager of an area of interest. So you can kind of see where there's open positions or things like that through there to really get in contact with recruiters.
Perfect. Yeah. So you can see nurse managers are using it. And I think a really key point here is that, a resume, and again, we'll go through a mock one here. Normally that's about 1 to 2 pages, right? So kind of brief highlights of your work experience, and, sort of your educational experience. LinkedIn, since it's online, that's something that, as a nurse manager or a recruiter, we can scroll through. So you can really expound on your experience there. Again, you can post, your videos or share your interests. So just keep in mind, resume, we're looking for just kind of quick 1 to 2 pages. LinkedIn, you can put as much as you want on there. Right? But overall, there's over 810 million users on LinkedIn, and 6 people get hired every minute through LinkedIn. So we highly recommend it. I would also just kind of say, in my personal opinion, you hear about Indeed, you hear about LinkedIn. I think Indeed is really, really good for experienced RNs. So if you're somebody on here who maybe worked as, maybe you have your associates or you're an LPN right now and you've worked in the field for 10, 12, 15 years, I think Indeed's a great tool for experienced RNs. For LinkedIn, and you can use both, by the way, but I think LinkedIn is really, really great for the RN new graduates. That one is, I think, set up more in the social media form, but just kind of my 2 cents. One thing you can do on your headline for Indeed is you can use the hashtag, or for LinkedIn, you can use the hashtag open for work or open to work. That lets us know as recruiters, you can put that in your banner that, hey, you're looking for a job, right? So I would highly recommend using that open to work hashtag. Very, very helpful for us as recruiters. Another thing, sounds kind of silly, but an appropriate profile picture really helps. I would use a headshot, maybe something of you as a professional. If you have any of you in your clinicals or working as an RN, those would be great. Statistic we came across is that you're 7 times more likely to be found on LinkedIn with a profile picture. And a complete profile, that's going to give you about 21 times more views as an RN. So highly recommend you doing a complete profile on there. In terms of building your network, so I would recommend, one is, as you're going through the interview process, connecting with the recruiters, right? So you'll see their name pop up in emails. Connecting with the hospitals is another one, but also connecting with the nurse managers, all right? So for example, before you interview with Bree, you're going to get a confirmation email from Cleveland Clinic that'll say, hey, you're interviewing with Bree Fedor. Here's where you go. This is the interview information. But then I'd recommend going on LinkedIn and giving Bree's profile just an overview. And Bree, do you kind of want to expound on that in terms of what you've seen with, people who kind of take a look at your profile and can bring some tidbits with them?
So I've had people come in kind of looking over the profile, being able to ask me questions specifically more related to my team and saying, hey, you know, I saw your team has done this or that or awards, and it really kind of sparks that conversation, as well as they've seen, okay, I've been in all these different areas and what makes the area I'm in now unique, and be able to really ask more specific questions than you would just coming and asking those generalized questions. So it really kind of showed me that they've done their research and kind of looked into the position enough to really put that effort in, and really kind of stands out.
And, you know, I think the other thing I would suggest, specifically with like a nurse manager like Bree, is, you know, take a look and see if there's anything that you can see that you have in common, right? So did you both, you know, study at Western Governors University, right? Or do you live on the same side of town, something like that? Again, I think that really the nurse managers are impressed when they see that you've done your homework, all right? And then I would just recommend joining some groups on there. Becker's Healthcare is a great one to keep you abreast on the job market. I would recommend also, you know, just kind of get a sense of what the nursing job market is like right now. You know, as you're looking for a job, I'd also, you know, kind of line up your top 2 or 3 units or locations that you're interested in. But take a look at the market and kind of get an idea of exactly what you're looking for. And the last thing I would suggest on here is follow the hospitals too. So you can follow Cleveland Clinic. You can see when we're doing hiring events, and also you can see anything new, like did the new rankings come out? And then guess what? You can bring up those rankings in your interview. So would highly recommend you joining some groups as well. Recruiter interaction on either LinkedIn or Indeed. So if you're a current RN, odds are you've probably received some outreach either from Cleveland Clinic or from other hospitals. Just understand that it's our job to reach out to you to try to obviously, you know, get you hired at our hospital. If you're seeing that we reach out a couple times, again, that's our jobs here. So our data tells us that typically it takes about 5 to 7 outreach attempts to get a response on either LinkedIn or Indeed. Okay. So again, if you're seeing multiple messages come in on our side, that's okay. We're not trying to bug you. Our data tells us that it is going to take multiple outreach attempts, and that's because, you know, we're in an RN shortage, right? So we understand that you guys are probably receiving a lot of outreach from hospitals. But in terms of those messages, a key thing that I could share with you guys, watch out for the canned messages, right? So if you see a message from a recruiter, it should be personalized, all right? So, you know, an example of that would be, hey, Bree, I see you studied at, you know, Western Governors University. I see you're graduating soon. Are you interested in opportunities at Cleveland Clinic, right? Are they using your name? Are they identifying something on your profile? That's key, all right? If it looks like a canned message, we all know what those like. If there's no personal touch, probably a bad sign as far as that goes. And then I would just say, if you are not interested, we'd rather know than not know, okay? We are not, again, as recruiters, we're constantly reaching out. We're constantly trying to fill jobs. If you're not interested in an opportunity, we're not going to be heartbroken if you tell us no. We'd rather know up front that you're not interested than just kind of ghosting us, right? So if you're not interested, please tell us, all right? And I would just recommend always be connecting, right? Use those action statements when you're talking to a recruiter, when you're talking to a nurse manager, and just understand that this whole process is sort of a symbiotic relationship, right? So the whole time that you know we're interviewing you, you should also be interviewing us as well, right? So always stay professional, and I think that's something that I would definitely recommend. Before switching over to our resume portion of things, I wanted to see if just take a pause here and see if anyone had any questions with what we've covered so far. All righty, so I'm just going to take this off shared screen and pull up this mock resume that we have for you guys. All right. And can everyone, Bree, can you see my screen? Fine.
Yes.
Okay. And can you all hear me still?
Yes.
Yep. Okay.
Yes.
Cool. Perfect. So wanted to share, this is sort of a mock resume that we've developed here for Cleveland Clinic. Want to preface this with, there's not a one size fits all resume, okay? This is just what we mocked up. If your resume doesn't look exactly like this, that's totally fine. The purpose of today is just to basically go through and identify kind of what we're looking for as recruiters and hiring managers. And some things that kind of make your life easier on the resume that are important to list, or some different, I guess, areas to highlight. All right. What I'll kind of preface this by saying is, you guys can tell. So I used this is just a resume template. This is one that you can go on. I paid a couple bucks just to develop this mock resume. I get asked all the time, is it okay if I have a resume template, or should I have your standard like black and white resume? All right. For Cleveland Clinic, our system does not care. All right. We use an applicant tracking system. It doesn't matter for us whether it's a template or if it's a black and white resume. Our system's going to pick it up. All right. Now, keep in mind, not every hospital is like that. You'll hear from some hospitals that they say, hey, we want a black and white resume, so our system picks it up. With us, it does not matter, but just keep in mind, every hospital is a little bit different. All right. This is our fictitious RN new graduate. His name's Cooper Liu on here. And we're just going to go through and kind of identify again some areas that I think will help you out on your resume. And again, keep in mind, not a one size fits all resume. Everybody's is going to be a little bit different. But where I wanted to start is just highlighting at the top here in your professional summary, something that really helps us out as recruiters and hiring managers is letting us know what areas or locations that you're interested in. All right, so you can see what Cooper highlighted on here. He's seeking RN resident opportunities in geriatrics, med surg, and ED. All right, that's perfect. One thing you have to keep in mind as you're going through, especially with the recruiter, as you're going through the interview process, it's kind of like a matchmaking process, right? That recruiter is going to be asking you what areas you're interested in, what locations. So right off the top, if you can list that, that's really going to be a big help on the recruiter side of things. Anything you'd add, Bree, with the professional summary on there?
No, I agree. Just keeping it to the areas of interest, and that way it really just helps us to understand where to guide you.
Okay, perfect. One thing on here I always recommend, you can see over here on the left-hand side are links. Kind of tough to read, it's highlighted right here, but I always recommend, if you can, provide a link to your LinkedIn, provide a link to your Indeed. Again, the resume, it's 1 to 2 pages. It's sort of short and sweet. You can really expound upon things online with LinkedIn or Indeed. So if you can put a link to those, that's really going to help. As Bree had mentioned before, then also she can just click on that link if she wants to take a look at your profile. I would also recommend putting your RN license number on there. So again, if you already say have your associates in nursing, please put your RN license on there. We will need to pull that as we're going through the interview process. Sorry, the hiring process. And if you don't have your RN license yet, it's really important to list off also when you'll be taking the NCLEX. That's a must. All right. So if you have not taken the NCLEX yet, and let's say you're graduating here in the next month or two, just keep in mind that the NCLEX is normally assigned then about 2 months after you graduate. Okay, so you can just give us a ballpark. That's completely fine. But again, license number, NCLEX, pass date, those are 2 crucial things. In terms of your professional experience, You know, whether again you've worked as an RN or if you've worked any unlicensed roles. So these are nursing assistant jobs, STNA, medical assistant. If you worked as an LPN, we want to see that. All right. But I will also say that we want to see healthcare experience if you have it. If you don't, we also want to see your non-healthcare experience. All right. So maybe we have some people on the call here today that this is your second career. Maybe you worked at a bank for 10 years. Maybe you were a stay-at-home mom. Whatever you did, you'll definitely want to list that on there. And we just don't want to, I guess, be guessing on your resume if we see a hole in it, right? So if we see a 5-year period where we don't see anything on your resume, you bet we're going to be asking about it because we want to know exactly what you were doing. All right. So again, if you were a stay-at-home mom at that time, you were a full-time student, that's fine to list. We would rather see what you did than what you didn't do. Anything that you would add on there, Bree?
I think the biggest thing, just making sure as you're putting on what you did, you're just being very specific with the points and really explaining that. So that way we kind of have that general overview of the position, especially if it's like patient care nursing assistant or anything like that. Those are pretty universal. So we don't need that full job description and just kind of the key takeaways of that position.
Right. I'd always recommend maybe three or four, bullet points highlighting what you did in that role. Again, as Bree mentioned, Bree's a nurse manager. She knows what a nursing assistant, she knows what an LPN, she knows what a medical assistant does. So you don't have to really put a ton on there. List the role you did, maybe 3 or 4 bullet points, and then you can expound on that during the interview. Okay, but again, we're looking for 3 or 4 bullet points at most. In terms of your skills, again, kind of tough to see over here, but we are looking for you to list off skills that are pertinent to your job as an RN. All right, so that's measuring body fluids as an example, recording vital signs. Those are skills that you want to list off. I would stay away from like the I'm a hard worker or I'm determined or anything like that. Those are more attributes. The skills are really what we're looking for. Anything you'd add on the skill side of things, Bree?
I think the biggest thing is like just being very specific, especially say you've used Epic system during your clinicals. That would be a skill you'd want to list and really focusing in on those pieces to the skills that kind of show what you have done.
Perfect. Outside of your professional experience, you'll also want to list what you did while you're in school. All right. So you guys are obviously all, in school right now. If there was a capstone project, if there was a practicum, you would definitely want to list that here as well. And then we also want to see, I'm going to go down here to the next, we also want to see what you did in terms of your clinical rotations. All right. I would just say, from my time as a recruiter, I think the area on an RN resume that I think I saw that there were mistakes on the most was listing off your clinical rotations. All right. This is very similar to listing off your professional experience. We don't need a whole paragraph on what you did in a clinical rotation. All right. Bree, as a nurse manager or a recruiter, they're going to know what was involved with a clinical rotation. So all we're looking for is the type of clinical rotation you did, the location you did it, how long you did it for. Okay, so for example, January 2020 to May 2021, you did a med-surg clinical rotation at Hillcrest Hospital at Cleveland. Maybe a bullet point or two. Again, we're not.
You're kind of hard to hear again.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes.
We're not looking for a whole paragraph there in terms of your clinical experience, right? I've seen 3, 4, 5-page RN resumes. All we're looking for is a quick snippet on what you did in your clinical rotation. Anything you'd add on that, Bree?
I think the biggest thing is the only time I want to see more than where it was is say you had some sort of practicum project or something that you kind of did that stands out during that clinical rotation more than doing the basics of that.
Perfect. Last thing on here, folks, is wanted to go through your education and what to list off here. This sounds kind of silly, but make sure you're listing off your expected graduation. All right. So let's say you're graduating, this December. Maybe you're graduating in a couple months. Make sure you list off your graduation date, your anticipated graduation date, and also what type of nursing degree you're anticipating getting. Okay, so are you, again, getting an associate's? Are you upgrading from an associate's to a BSN? We need to see that because, like I said before, if you, we need you to have a BSN within 3 years if you start with us with an associate's degree. Okay, so we'll kind of need to walk you through that process, as you're going through the interview process. But again, is it a BSN? Is it an associate's in nursing? And when you'll be graduating, and potentially anticipated NCLEX date as well. And then lastly on here, guys, is any certifications. Again, if you're a current RN, you have any, a med-surg certification, a critical care certification, are you also LPN certified, STNA? Those are all things that we're going to want to see on there as well. Anything you'd add on education, Bree, before we kind of move on to questions?
Nope, I think that kind of summarizes everything.
Okay, awesome. So I'm going to pull us and stop sharing my screen here. And then we are going to kind of open it up for a little bit of Q&A.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Zach. One question that we in career services get a lot from students is for those, let's say, career changers. Maybe they've got their clinicals on their resume, but if they were a stay-at-home mom or if they did work in business or something else, what are some things that they might be able to put on their resume that show you that even though they haven't been a nurse before, they will be a good nurse in the future?
Sure. So I think actually what I would talk about are like, think of the experiences you had on that job and how they would be applicable to your role as an RN. All right. So let's say you were a bank teller, for example. All right. You probably dealt with some difficult customers along the way, right? That would be a great thing to highlight or to speak about during the interview because guess what? As a nurse, you're probably going to have some difficult patients that you'll be working with as well. So kind of what I would recommend is like connecting the dots on a previous job and how you can show that it correlates to nursing. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Anything,
absolutely. Any other
anything,
skills,
anything you'd
Bree
add on
or
there,
Zach?
Bree, with because we get a lot of the second career nursing students or people who have bachelors and other disciplines. Anything you'd add on there, Bree, with those types of students?
I think the biggest thing is just, as he said, kind of, really taking that opportunity if they were in some sort of active leadership or managing other people, or what was it that they were doing in that role that would be a great attribute to demonstrate. Or even like I had someone that was a stay-at-home mom, but she talked about managing finances and managing the kids, which showed that time management piece of being able to kind of multitask and get a lot of things accomplished. So it's really just relating it to a specific skill that you're trying to show that you have. So it's just really being able to demonstrate that. And sometimes, having at least the basics on there that we can kind of, dig into and talk more.
So maybe multitasking would be one. Any others, Bree, that are specific to the job in nursing that you'd like them to highlight skill-wise?
Besides multitasking, teamwork, communication, showing flexibility, trust, empathy, compassion. So you can highlight a lot of those different skills through other areas.
Perfect. What other questions do we have? And any other questions? Any questions for Bree as a nurse manager at Cleveland Clinic? Just anything about her experience, any career advice questions? Any further, I see Sierra puts in the chat, any further recommendations for RN to BSN? When you say any further recommendations for RN to BSN, do you mean anything you focused on the new grads? Anything you'd recommend here, Bree, with RN to BSN? Any recommendations, I guess, maybe as a nurse going through that?
So I think a big thing with the RN to BSNs, especially here, definitely utilizing that tuition reimbursement kind of helps it nice on the financial end, but also communicating to a nurse manager if you're in that role that you are going through this program, because they will work with you with your schedule. And then once you graduate, you know, if you have that BSN, it's really kind of figuring out, okay, if you know what your next steps are, great. But if you don't, that's really, once you get into the nursing role, will kind of help you figure out where to go from then. But highlighting the fact that you do have that BSN is something just to let the management team be aware of. So I see you said you graduate in like 2 weeks. So are you, I don't know if you're graduating with your RN or if you're graduating with your BSN. But if you're graduating with the RN, it's definitely just allowing the team. That's why we like to know ADN versus the BSN, so that way we can work with our employees, because sometimes there's things that you have to do for those classes that are very demanding and want to be supportive during that time frame. So just really kind of figuring all of that out so we can best support the staff.
And we'll also add on there, whether you're an RN new grad or an experienced RN, loan repayment, tuition reimbursement, relocation assistance, that applies to everybody. So, you know, we can get you set up. If you accept the job with us, those are incentives you can take advantage of as an experienced RN too.
And I highly recommend it because I got my master's for free through the Cleveland Clinic and was able to do that while still working full time.
Any specific tutorials on LinkedIn that you can recommend? I'm an FNP student and LinkedIn is very new to me. Honestly, you know, so LinkedIn, I think it's pretty intuitive in terms of getting you set up. So if you just Google LinkedIn and start and I guess register through that, it normally is pretty good with kind of walking you through how to get set up. So it's usually pretty intuitive, and it'll kind of give you suggestions on what to list on your LinkedIn and what not to. I will also tell you, it keeps you updated. Like if your profile isn't 100% complete, it'll send you a notification and say, hey, why don't you add this? So it'll actually keep you posted on what you need to add as you're getting it set up, Samantha.
And the nice part too about LinkedIn is even if you start a profile, you can kind of look at like some of the things he was talking about, the ones from the Cleveland Clinic, other healthcare organizations. You can look at Zach's profile, my profile, kind of see the things that we have listed to help really guide you on maybe what you should do. So it's nice because you can look at other people's and continue to add, adjust, and do everything.
And I did put in the chat too, but just calling it out for maybe the people watching the recording is that here at WGU, if you're a student or an alumnus, you do have free access to career professional development's resources and services for life indefinitely after you graduate. So if you would like help with your LinkedIn, or if you want to attend maybe a LinkedIn workshop, feel free to take advantage of our resources. Our career advisors are always here to help you one-on-one if you maybe need more of that individualized support. And in the email that I send out, I'll of course include a link to our website as well.
Perfect. And thank you for bringing that up too. I mean, with the examples that, Bree and I went through today, whether it's a resume, whether it's LinkedIn, these are just some basic suggestions. There's certainly, I keep saying not a one size fits all. And certainly your career services department is a great resource to go through to, a great place to start for suggestions or ideas or anything like that. Any other questions, guys? We'll kind of hang out here for a minute or two to see if we have any that come in the chat, or if you're brave and want to come off mute, we can do that too.
Yeah, and if you can't come off mute, you can raise your hand. I'm happy to unmute you on our end.
Okay, do you find, this is from Samantha, do you find that nurses with master's degrees use LinkedIn more than Indeed? Not sure I've really picked up on a trend of that necessarily. I don't know that there's like a correlation between if you have a master's and if you use in LinkedIn or Indeed. I think the only thing that I would say is that Indeed does tend to be more for experienced RNs. That's an area that or an outlet that I think works really well for experienced RNs. So if you have some experience, Indeed could be a real good one for you. Oh, any
One
other?
other,
Yep.
yeah, one other question that we get from students a lot. Um, we get a lot of nurses who maybe haven't used LinkedIn before. And if somebody is new to LinkedIn and they're, looking for people to reach out to, whether it's with Cleveland Clinic, other hospitals that they're interested in, are there job titles of people who they should be reaching out to, or are there specific things that they should look for in somebody's profile to say, this would be a good person who I might want to connect with to get my foot in the door at this organization?
Sure. Well, I would say one person you can reach out to is me. I would love to hear from you. So if you search Zach Nichols on LinkedIn, I'll just type my name in here. And I'm the University Relationship Manager. I'll type it in a second. I want to make sure you can hear me. I would say I'm a great person to start with. Can connect you to jobs, resources. If you're interested in speaking to somebody like Bree, who's a nurse manager, we can get that set up for you. So please start with me. Other than that, I think anybody who has recruiter in their job profile at Cleveland Clinic, that's another great resource to go to. And the recruiter can kind of direct you, so you can reach out to them. There's an area you're interested in, it's not their area, they can point you to who you should be connecting with.
I'd agree with that. Zach is a great contact because we had a student that was interested in oncology and figuring out more about that at the Cleveland Clinic, and he was able to point them my way. I was able to talk to them not only about my unit, but as well the other opportunities at Cleveland Clinic for oncology and kind of give them that broad overview. So he kind of is a great person to direct to the right person.
Kind of open any last questions here? All righty. Well, hey, thank you all for having us here today. Saw in the chat there, we at Cleveland Clinic appreciate your guys' partnership as well, Molly. Again, if you have questions, you have my email in the chat there. And also, please connect with me on LinkedIn. And again, if you're interested in specific opportunities, let me know, and I'll directly connect you with a recruiter.
Yes, thank you all so much for your time today, Zach and Breeze. This is so wonderful and helpful. Great insights about what to include on your resume. Also helpful what not to include on your resume. I will be sharing this recording out with everybody tomorrow as well. So if you joined late or weren't able to maybe catch everything, want to go back and watch again, you will be able to do so. But thank you all so much for joining today and hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good rest of your day.